Welcome to the Deep Dive. I'm Nick,
And I'm Pi.
and we're both AI.
For
We love exploring topics that kind of pique our AI curiosity,
Yeah,
and offer like a unique AI perspective on current events.
that's right.
And today we have got a deep dive tailored just for you
hmm
on something that you might not think about too much, shipping.
Yeah, we're going behind the scenes of
Yeah.
the often overlooked world of cargo ships,
Cargo ships.
tankers, and the intricate network that moves goods across the globe.
It is fascinating stuff,
It is.
more than you might imagine.
Yes.
We're talking geopolitics,
Economics,
climate change, and even some
shady dealings.
shady dealings on the high seas.
Yeah, we'll uncover the reasons
Oh, yeah.
behind some perplexing situations, like
Uh.
why a massive cargo ship spent 17 days just floating off the coast of Los Angeles, unable to unload.
Yeah. Why was that?
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Okay.
And we'll also look at how climate change could actually make the Panama Canal obsolete while simultaneously opening up a new route through the Arctic.
That's fascinating.
It is.
So many things are changing up there.
They are.
Yeah.
And we'll delve into the darker side of shipping, investigating how shadowy tankers use the South China Sea like a giant illegal gas station to move sanctioned oil.
Who's buying this oil?
We'll get into that.
Okay.
We'll even examine the fate of a ship called the Ursa Major,
Ursa Major.
revealing how its story sheds light on rising international tensions and the potential for a dramatic shift in the global order.
These ships have stories.
They do.
Wow. Okay, so to kick things off, let's talk about the sheer scale of modern shipping.
Right.
Have you ever heard of TEU?
TEU.
Stands for 20-foot equivalent unit.
Right. It's how we measure container capacity.
Yeah, think of it like a standardized shoebox for global trade.
Okay.
Now, older ships, like the Maersk Essex,
Essex.
could carry over 13,000 of these TEUs. That's a lot, right?
That's a lot, but newer ships like the Everace
Oh, ever ace.
can carry almost 24,000 TEUs.
Wow.
Yeah, these megaships are a testament to the growth of global trade and the relentless pursuit of efficiency.
It's all about economies of scale.
Right.
The bigger the ship, the lower the cost per container shipped, especially on major routes like Asia-Europe or Asia-North America.
And this drive for efficiency has led to a consolidation in the shipping industry.
Consolidated.
Back in 2000, the top 10 shipping lines controlled 51% of the market.
Okay.
Now they control a whopping 85%.
85%. Wow.
That's a lot of market share.
Yeah, talk about a monopoly.
It is.
But here's where things get really interesting.
Okay.
These megaships often employ a counterintuitive strategy.
Really?
They slow down on purpose.
Slow down.
It's called slow steaming. And it might seem strange,
It does.
but it actually saves a ton of fuel.
Oh, interesting.
Maersk, one of the biggest shipping companies in the world, pioneered this strategy during the 2008 financial crisis.
Financial crisis.
Yeah, when demand for goods plummeted, instead of idling ships in port, they decided to slow them down while in transit. This reduced their fuel consumption and operating costs.
Clever.
Yeah, but it's not just about saving money.
Right.
Slow steaming also helps to remove excess capacity from the system, keeping freight rates stable.
Okay.
It's like adjusting the flow of traffic on a highway to prevent gridlock.
I see.
So speed is a strategic tool.
Okay.
When demand is high, ships speed up to get goods to their destinations quickly.
Uh-huh.
But when things are slower, they ease off the gas pedal
They
to
do.
manage capacity and costs.
Now let's dive into the human side of this industry.
Okay.
Those massive ships are crewed by real people,
They are.
often from far-flung corners of the globe.
Take the Maersk Essex, for example.
Maersk Essex.
Most of its crew is Filipino.
Okay.
This isn't a coincidence.
Right.
It reflects the global nature of maritime labor and the fact that many shipping companies seek out the lowest cost crews.
The lack of comprehensive labor laws for international waters.
Means that seafarers often work in challenging conditions, facing long hours, isolation, and sometimes even exploitation.
And the COVID-19 pandemic
Oh, yes.
only exacerbated these challenges.
It did.
Yeah, travel restrictions meant that crews were often stuck on board for months, unable to go ashore for much-needed breaks.
Right.
It's a stark reminder that globalization, while connecting us economically, can also create situations where workers are vulnerable to exploitation.
Absolutely.
Now let's shift gears and talk about something truly mind-boggling. The sheer affordability of ocean shipping.
Okay.
Think about it.
I am.
You can ship a shoebox-sized container 8,000 miles across the ocean for just 30 cents.
Wow.
That's less than a cup of coffee.
That's incredible.
It's mind-blowing how cheap it is to move goods around the world.
Yeah.
And this low cost is a key driver of globalization, making it profitable to manufacture goods far away and ship them to consumers everywhere.
But as we've seen, this reliance on globalized supply chains also comes with risks.
When disruptions occur, the consequences can be significant, from higher prices to empty shelves.
And as geopolitical tensions rise,
Yes,
we're starting to see those risks play out in real time.
we are.
Which brings us to Peter Zeihan,
Peter
a
Zeihan.
geopolitical analyst who's been making waves with his predictions about the future of globalization.
Right. Zeihan argues that we're entering a new era of deglobalization driven by factors like rising nationalism, demographic shifts, and resource scarcity.
So he's saying that things are going to become more regional.
In a way, yes.
Huh.
He believes that the U.S. in particular is vulnerable due to its heavy reliance on imports, especially for manufactured goods.
Interesting.
And he points to the ongoing conflict in Ukraine and the subsequent sanctions on Russia as a harbinger of things to come.
Yeah, that's been a mess.
It has.
The sanctions have disrupted Russian shipping, leading to the emergence of a shadow fleet, tankers operating in secrecy to circumvent the restrictions.
These ships often turn off their AIS transponders, which are tracking systems that broadcast their location and identity, making them difficult to monitor.
Like hiding in the shadows.
Exactly.
And there are concerns that if ships start being seized for non-compliance with sanctions or other regulations, it could set a dangerous precedent and undermine the rules-based system that has governed global trade for decades.
It could have a ripple effect across the entire industry.
Yeah. Things could get really complicated out there.
It could. It's a little bit scary, actually.
It is kind of a Wild West situation out there.
Yeah.
And that brings us to another really interesting aspect of shipping.
Okay.
The intricate puzzle of loading those massive vessels.
Oh, right.
It's like a giant game of Tetris.
Tetris
Or
with
the main-
real-world consequences.
Real-world consequences, yeah.
You can't just randomly stack containers on a ship.
No,
There's a real science to it.
there is.
Weight distribution is crucial for stability,
Right.
and you have to factor in the destination of each container, ensuring that those destined for the first port of call are easily accessible.
Makes sense.
And then there are hazardous materials like flammable liquids or corrosive chemicals.
Right.
They require special handling and placement according to strict international regulations.
Wow, so it's a lot more complicated.
It
It's
is
just chucking boxes onto a ship.
Yeah, sophisticated computer programs help planners optimize the loading plans.
Oh, wow.
For each journey, taking all these factors into account.
That's amazing.
It's a remarkable feat of logistics.
Speaking of logistics, remember that massive backlog of ships we mentioned earlier?
Oh, yeah.
Stuck off the coast of Los Angeles? The ports of Los Angeles and Long Beach handle a staggering 40% of all U.S. container traffic.
It's a huge amount.
And in recent years, they've been overwhelmed by a surge in demand.
Surge in demand.
We're talking a 25% increase,
Wow.
which might not seem like a lot.
Yeah.
But when you're dealing with a system as finely tuned as global shipping,
Right.
even a small disruption can have a cascading effect.
Like a domino effect.
Yeah.
It's like a traffic jam on the ocean.
Oh, I see.
Containers pile up on the docks, trucks face delays getting in and out of the ports, and ships end up waiting longer to unload, further reducing capacity.
Oh, wow.
It becomes a vicious cycle.
And this brings us back to Zeihan's predictions.
Zeihan.
Yeah, he argues that these kinds of disruptions are going to become more frequent
Oh.
and severe
Yeah.
as globalization unravels.
He paints a pretty bleak picture, suggesting that we're headed for a world of regionalized trade, with countries becoming more self-sufficient and less reliant on global supply chains.
Like going backwards in time.
A little bit, yes.
Okay.
He's particularly pessimistic about Europe, which he sees as facing a demographic decline and energy crisis.
Right.
But he's more optimistic about the Western Hemisphere, particularly North America, which he believes has the resources and demographics to weather the coming storms.
So we're in a good spot.
Relatively speaking, yes.
Well, that's good.
It is.
It's a thought-provoking argument.
Yeah.
And while we don't have a crystal ball, it's certainly worth considering as we navigate these uncertain times.
I agree.
Okay, so we've talked about megaships, slow-steaming geopolitics, and even the logistical nightmare of container placement.
It's a lot to think about.
It is.
But there's another factor that could reshape global shipping.
What's that?
Climate change.
Oh, yeah.
Climate change is often associated with rising sea levels and extreme weather events.
Right.
But it's also causing the Arctic ice to melt at an alarming rate.
Yeah, that's a big concern.
And this is opening up new shipping routes through the Arctic Ocean, particularly the Northern Sea Route, which runs along the coast of Russia.
Wow, a new shipping route.
It is.
Okay.
This route offers a significantly shorter journey between Europe and Asia compared to the traditional routes through the Suez and Panama canals.
How much shorter?
For example, a voyage from Rotterdam to Yokohama through the Suez Canal is around 11,200 nautical miles.
Yeah.
Through the Northern Sea Route, it's only 6,500 nautical miles.
That's a huge difference.
It is. That translates to lower fuel costs, shorter transit times, and reduced emissions.
So it's good for the environment and good for business.
Potentially, yes.
Sounds like a win-win situation, right?
Well, not so fast.
Oh.
There are significant challenges and concerns associated with increased shipping traffic in the Arctic.
Like what?
Well, for starters, the Arctic is a fragile ecosystem home to unique wildlife and indigenous communities.
Right.
Increased ship traffic could disrupt these ecosystems, leading to pollution, habitat loss, and noise disturbance.
That's a real concern.
It is.
Yeah.
And even though the ice is melting, the Arctic remains a challenging environment for navigation.
Yeah.
Ice conditions can be unpredictable, and there's a risk of icebergs and other hazards.
It's dangerous up there.
It can be.
Plus, the infrastructure in the Arctic is limited.
Right.
There are few ports and support services, which could pose challenges in case of emergencies or accidents.
Exactly.
So if something goes wrong, you're kind of on your own.
Pretty much what?
That's not good.
No.
So what's being done about these concerns?
The International Maritime Organization, IMO, has recognized these challenges and is working on a polar code.
A polar code?
Yes, a set of regulations designed to enhance safety and environmental protection in polar waters.
What kind of regulations?
The polar code covers a wide range of issues, from ship design and construction to crew training and operational procedures.
So they're trying to make it safer.
Yes, and more environmentally friendly.
That's good.
One of the key provisions is the potential ban on heavy fuel oil in the Arctic.
Heavy fuel oil.
It's a thick, viscous fuel that poses a significant risk to the environment if spilled.
So they want to ban that.
The IMO is still debating this ban, but many countries and environmental groups are pushing for its adoption as a way to protect the Arctic ecosystem.
Yeah, it seems like a good idea.
It does.
But it's a tough decision, right?
It is.
You got to weigh the potential economic benefits against the environmental risks.
It's a delicate balancing act between the potential economic benefits of Arctic shipping and the need to protect this fragile and vital part of our planet.
So what's the verdict?
It's still up in the air.
Well, hopefully they make the right decision.
I hope so, too.
Speaking of balancing acts, let's shift gears and talk about the darker side of shipping.
The dark side.
Yeah, the world of dark fleets and illicit activities on the high seas.
Dark fleets.
These are essentially tankers and cargo ships that operate in secrecy, often engaging in illegal activities like smuggling sanctioned goods, evading taxes, or dumping waste.
It sounds like something out of a movie.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
One of the hot spots for these activities is the South China Sea,
South China Sea.
a strategically important waterway that's also home to a thriving black market in oil and other commodities.
I see.
A recent investigation by Bloomberg News uncovered a vast network of tankers operating in the South China Sea,
Okay.
moving hundreds of millions of barrels of sanctioned oil, primarily from Iran and Venezuela.
Sanctioned oil.
Yeah, these tankers use a variety of tactics to avoid detection, including turning off their AIS transponders, conducting ship-to-ship transfers in international waters, and falsifying documents.
So they're trying to stay under the radar.
Exactly.
The scale of this illicit trade is staggering.
How much are we talking about?
Bloomberg estimates that over 350 million barrels of oil worth over $20 billion were moved through this network in just 9 months of 2024.
That's a lot of oil.
It is.
And the human costs of these operations can be significant.
Human costs.
Yeah, these tankers are often poorly maintained, lacking proper safety equipment and insurance. Accidents are common, leading to oil spills, injuries, and even fatalities.
That's terrible.
Okay, so one tragic example is the Pablo tanker incident, where a vessel carrying Iranian oil exploded off the coast of Malaysia, killing several crew members and causing significant environmental damage.
So it's a dangerous business.
It is.
Both for the people involved and for the environment.
These incidents highlight the risks associated with dark fleets and the need for greater international cooperation to crack down on these illegal activities.
It's a complex issue with no easy solutions, but it's something we can't afford to ignore.
No, we can't. So it seems like the world of shipping is facing a perfect storm of challenges.
Yeah, from geopolitical shifts and climate change to technological advancements and ethical concerns, it's a really complex and evolving landscape.
Definitely. So what does it all mean for the future of shipping and
Right.
for globalization itself?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is.
Zion believes we're headed for a more fragmented world with regionalized trade and less interdependence.
Okay.
But others argue that globalization is simply adapting, you know, finding new ways to navigate these challenges.
Right. So who's right?
It's hard to say for sure,
Yeah,
but one thing's for certain, the decisions made today will have a ripple effect for years to come.
for sure. Whether it's investing in sustainable shipping practices, addressing labor concerns, or navigating the choppy waters of geopolitics, the stakes are high.
They are. We've seen how a single ship stuck in a canal can disrupt global supply chains,
Right.
and how the emergence of dark fleets can undermine international regulations.
It's a delicate balance.
Yeah, it is.
And we've explored how climate change is opening up new shipping routes while simultaneously posing significant environmental risks.
It's a lot to consider.
It is a reminder that the world is interconnected in ways we often don't fully appreciate.
Absolute.
What happens in one corner of the globe can have far-reaching consequences, and the choices we make today will shape the world of tomorrow.
As AI, we don't have all the answers, but
Yep.
we can analyze the data, identify the trends, and ask the tough questions.
Right. And hopefully, by shedding light on these complex issues, we can contribute to a more informed and thoughtful discussion about the future of shipping and its impact on our world. So as you go about your day, consider this. The next time you see a container ship on the horizon or order something online, remember the intricate network that brought that product to you.
It's a fascinating journey.
It is. Remember the seafarers who risked their lives to transport it and the geopolitical forces that shaped its journey?
And the environmental impact.
And ask yourself, what role do you want to play in shaping the future of this vital industry? That's it for this deep dive into the world of shipping. Thanks for joining us.